welcome you all to this next debate. We're going to talk about the forests and their management, the fire prevention, and the sustainable economical opportunities. We have a magnificent panel here with us. Let me welcome to the stage first Graça Borges, the head of corporate communications, public affairs and sustainability of the Bock Group. Can take my sides here. Graça, please.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Then Ângela Morgado, the executive director and CEO at WWF Worldwide Fund for Nature in Portugal. Hi, Ângela.
Hi.
Take a seat. And Joana Faria, the executive director at FSC Portugal. Okay, so welcome. We will start the debate talking a little bit about the importance of forests. As we all know, the capture of CO2 and the release of oxygen to our atmosphere. That's why they're called the lungs of the planet. So that's why it's so important for us to be here and talk about all of this with you. Our participants have some slideshows, so I'm going to ask please to start with Angela's slideshow and then on, and they will take the lead. Please.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thanks for to Planeteers for inviting me to this panel. Thank you, Frederico, for facilitating it. Hi to my colleagues. We have been talking through lunch. And first of all, before I start the slides, maybe we can all close our eyes and think about a beautiful landscape, a beautiful natural landscape, where we would like to be or where we feel happy to be. And so by connecting to that nature, to that magnificence of nature, maybe we can understand better what we are talking about here today. So that's the proposal of WWF, is reconnecting people with nature, reconnecting companies with nature, reconnecting administration and institutions with nature. So by reconnecting with nature, WWF believes that we are going to have a beautiful planet and that people will live in harmony with nature. So I work at the institution that is Associação Natureza Portugal. We are partners of WWF. We represent the panda in Portugal, the World Wildlife Fund. This is an image of an Iberian lynx. It's a species that is endemic of our peninsula and that was really endangered until government, institutions, academy, people, companies were together to try to introduce the lynxes again on nature. And so by beginning, today I'm going to speak a bit about what is restoration, why we need to restore nature. And that's what we believe, that we, WWF, as an organization of the civil society, one of the most important, the global conservation organization, we cannot act alone. So we need, in order to repair the food system, halt deforestation, restore nature, protecting our amazing forests and freshwater ecosystem, or tackle climate change, we need to involve every sector of society. So a key element of our strategy, WWF is known by cooperating with companies, by collaborating with companies, so they can engage and move towards a more progressive space. So they are using the resources of the planet, and as I am using it, and you all are, so as I have my responsibility, companies have responsibility in restoring nature and mitigate the impacts of their activity that is causing climate change and sometimes loss of biodiversity. What is this of ecological restoration? So our landscape has been affected by several challenges. One is fires. As you know, the fires have a dimension nowadays due to the effects of climate change and degradation of the soils that are the major cause of loss of biodiversity. For example, in Portugal, it's a really, really big threat. Another one is land abandonment, so the moving of people to cities and the lose of the old livelihoods has been causing degradation of our landscape. So by doing restoration, we imitate the structure, function, diversity and dynamics of the ecosystems. And so we believe that people want a landscape that is restored. People like to be in nature. People need nature not only for their well-being, because we depend on nature in everything we do, the food, the energy, the water, but as the pandemic showed, also because of our mental health. So we think that nature offers us a lot and inclusively is good for our mental health. So this is the map of Portugal, as you see, and these are the restoration projects that we have. They are all supported by companies that, with us, they believe they can do something. That's what it's our call to companies. We have to restore nature. We have to, again, reconnect with nature, and you are part of that solution. So these are all restoration projects in the north, as you see, in the center, in the south, and they are all sponsored by companies. One of them, which I'm going to speak a bit more, it's the Pedras Salgadas project, that whose sponsor is the Bock group. Graça is here, that is going also to speak about it in detail. And as you see, another thing that is important, we involve always the communities. You see that the partners are always cooperatives of farmers, stakeholders in the community. So by restoring nature, we contribute to the economy of local communities. We involve the stakeholders, we involve the people. That's in our ADN. So WWF works with not only to bring nature, but to bring people reconnecting with nature in order so they can have economic, social revenues, for example. And what did we do in Pedras Salgadas? It's not the same. In every type of forest, of landscape, there are different interventions, but here, Bock had an interest of having a kind of, to show their responsibility, social and environmental responsibility, in an area nearby their headquarters. So we selected Pedras Salgadas, and what have we done here? So we expand the park's current 20 hectares to 26.3. We clean the land, we plant various endemic species like, I don't know how to say it in English.
Yeah. White
Castanheiros, carvalhos,
Cycnus
oaks,
trees.
thank you. And we have eliminated some invasive species. We implemented, we did the implementation of a pond that has increased the biodiversity of the area. And it is a beautiful landscape because you see with the water, with the forest. We think by doing this, we are increasing soil recovery, water retention capacity, which is important for Bock group because they need water to their activity. And also we did environmental education activities with the community. So again, we cannot do anything in nature without involving people. And some images of the project, as you see, the flood here, the cleaning aspects. And I end with a sentence of Sir David Attenborough, which is a WWF ambassador. It's really true. The natural world is the greatest source of excitement, the greatest source of visual beauty. It's the greatest source of so much in life that makes life worth living. And we really believe that. We really believe that if we do our part, we can live in a better world by restoring nature, by being in nature and protecting it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ângela. We go along with Graça now.
Okay, so I only have 2 slides, but basically maybe to start by also saying that it's a pleasure to be here and share this project that we have started with ANP WWF. And start by saying why. Why have we started this? Well, we have a brand called Pedras Salgadas. It's a brand with 153 years. And on the year that the brand made 150 years, the company decided that it will be a kind of a legacy to start increasing these 6 hectares of land to add to an already existing and centennial forest that we have in the villa of Pedras Salgadas, which is in the north of Portugal, about 1 hour from Porto. It's a thermal villa. And this brand, or the water that this brand uses, is water that is coming from the rains that drop on these mountains and valleys for more than 100 years. It reached the subsoil, so the natural water reserves, and it's kept there, and then we are, more than a century ago, it was found the properties of the good and unique qualities of this water. So we have a unique resources, we have a business, but we also have the responsibility to not just preserve the current park, where you can go and visit, because there is a kind of a 8 kilometers trail where people can go and visit the current and various species of trees that were planted there by our ancestors. And so it's not just important to preserve this park, to enlarge this park, because we want this rain to keep on falling and keep on being captured by the soils. And in fact, when we were thinking about what to do for this 150th anniversary of the brand, we found that these 6 hectares were poor because there was a lot of weeds plants. The soil was dry, was not nurtured. So if we don't have good quality of the soil, then we cannot retain water. And we know that by doing this project, we could improve the capacity to retain water of about 23 cubic meters of water per year, apart from the carbon that these trees will capture as well in the future. But I don't know, well, which slide, sorry. Yeah, this is a video, sorry, it's not in English, but you would see here the park as it is currently, where you find not just the fountain.
Diversas fontes termais que permitem beber copo de água das pedras diretamente da fonte. Atualmente, o parque,
So you still can go there and try these waters.
alberga 14 eco-houses e 2 tree houses
There's a
desenhadas pelo
tourism
arquiteto
area
Luís Rebelo
around.
Andrade. Inclui também um emblemático casino totalmente recuperado e um spa termal que é assinado com a obra de Cisa
There's a
Vieira.
spa
A começar
where
em
you
outubro
can
deste
go
ano,
as well.
temos preparado um projeto de reflorestação e restauro ecológico em parceria com a Associação Natureza Portugal e o World Wide Fund for Nature. Consiste numa intervenção em 6,3 hectares de terrenos contínuos ao parque termal. O grande objetivo
So
é
the
plantar mais de
dark part is
1.800
the
árvores
part that
e
we
assim
are
conseguir a
restoring.
recuperação dos solos e da biodiversidade, o aumento da capacidade de retenção de água, armazenar anualmente entre 25 a 69 toneladas de CO2 e criar um charco para benefício da biodiversidade local. Parque Termal de Pedras Salgadas. Um destino primordial pleno de pureza.
So I will just conclude by saying that obviously that we could go for a project of just planting trees, but what we have learned, and due to the expertise of ANP WWF, is that if we really care about nature, we have to be there to look at the trees, to listen to them, to monitor the process, and to make sure that what we are doing will succeed, because adversities are there, but our legacy is really to monitor and to make sure that what we are doing, investing, is something not for the current people that live in the area or for us, but that it will come in the future. So this is a basic example of a project that we are sharing. It's still in an early stage because 2021 is 3 years ago. It was 3 years ago, but still we are doing a lot of initiatives to make sure that this will be a successful project. Thank you.
So Joana is doing hers now.
Yes, so hello everyone. I would also like to start to thank you to the Plantiers for this opportunity and for the invitation, and saying that being the last one to present will be much easier because some of the things that I will try to show it here already were mentioning. So we all know the importance of the forests, so they represent more than 30% of the Earth's surface. They are the home and the shelter of around 80% of the animals that we know, but they are also very relevant for people like us. Not just the ones that live directly from the forest and work in the forest, so 1.6 billion of people depend directly from the forest, but in all our days we have the forest in our backs, because the fresh water that we drink or the air that we breathe comes from these ecosystems. So we can easily say that without a healthy and resilient forest, our fight against climate change is lost, and biodiversity and even humanity can collapse very, very soon. Even we are all aware of this, we continue to see this type of environmental crimes. So deforestation and land degradation, it's still a reality, and it's important that we find solutions and examples that we heard before that can create this difference. So forests need our help. Otherwise, we are losing all these ecosystem services that they can provide to us. And exactly for these ecosystem services is that forests are so important to protect, and sustainable tools are relevant for our present and for our future. And this is where our organization, FSC, it's an international organization, can help, and I will try to show you how. Again, forests are the key to this challenge that we are facing. Floods, fires that we will talk later on, but also pandemics and loss of biodiversity. So how forest management, responsible forest management and high qualified data verified can be useful in this conversation. First of all, because FSC, it's an organization that brings people together. So we represent the social interests, but also the environmental and economic. And FSC was created 30 years ago, and we are here in Portugal by the hand of WWF, that were the responsible organization for the presence of FSC in Portugal. And it's important, this governance system, because we all of these organizations have the same responsible to decide, and all the decisions need to be made by consensus to move on. So it's important that we heard all these different interests and people. Again, engage with people, it's very relevant. Also because FSC is better known as a certification tool, so we also provide a tool for responsible management where forest owners not just need to comply with the regulations and laws, but also need to safeguard the working conditions, again, engage with local communities, also need to set aside at least 10% of the area for conservation purposes, also need to plan and monitor the activities that they are doing in the field so we can guarantee the impact and minimize the negative impact and of course potentiate the positive impact from these activities. They also need to preserve and protect the high conservation values, and here we are talking about rare species or priority habitats, for example, and also restrict the use of pesticides in forest and GMOs. We also do the link through all the value chains, so we can guarantee by this chain of custody certification that the product that came out with the logo, with an FSC label, came from a responsible forest that comply with all these indicators that I mentioned before. And we are also verified for a third-party, independent third-party organization. So this brings the integrity and the credibility to the system that we need. Everything is audited and verified. More recently, FSC also promote a tool to verify the impact of this responsible forest management in these ecosystem services, because we believe that these ecosystem services are the true value of the forest and we need to potentiate that. So we identified 5 different services here, so biodiversity conservation, carbon sequestration and storage, watershed services, soil conservation and recreation services. And if we know the impact that our activities are having in these 5 different services, we can measure and we can generate more incomes for the people. Why? Because this tool benefits the forest owners because they can communicate, they can produce claims around their forest management, and also provide the companies, the organizations that want to support this type of projects, like we saw with the case of Graça, that Graça presented, that they receive an evidence of these measurements, and that is audited by, like I mentioned before, by a third-party organization, and they have the real sense that investments are making a difference on the ground. I already explained the importance of this integrity data. So how it works, we identify and we map all the forests that verified already these services that I mentioned before. We also verify the methodology and the claims that can be provided by this system, and then we try to find some companies that are that can be able to support these projects. And to turn this in a more user-friendly way, we create this tool that it's the Trinder. I don't know if the name sounds familiar to you, but it's a matchmaking tool that it's what it is. It's a way to put organizations and forest owners into a conversation. So I don't know if I can enter in the system, but the idea is maybe not. So, but you can access to this tool, enter in the map, and we show all these areas in Portugal, but also around the world by service. For example, if you are just interested in projects that verify the carbon stocks, you can find it here, or biodiversity, or the other 5 services that we mentioned. You can also find it by impact that was verified. It was conservation, it was restoration, what do you want to support, and also by region. So if you are more interested in projects that they are in the north of the country, you can find also by that clicking the map. It's an interactive tool that you can explore. And I would also like to finish with the quote that FSC believes that we are still on time, even with all these issues that we face. But if we can bring to the society the true value of the forest, we will still in time to win this fight to climate change. So I'm still a believer, and I hope I'm not the only one. Thank you.
You're not. I think there's plenty of believers here amongst us.
Yes.
So regarding Trinder, we hope that a lot of companies match projects.
We launched that in September, and we are having the first conversations, but it's a good way to start to bring like the organizations into this conversation and try to not speak just in technical language, but also things that are related with what they need.
In a lighter way.
Yeah.
So, Joana, taking in from here, since you're speaking, I think last year we had about over 10,000 fires all through the Portugal. What can we do about that, and what can people as well react to that part? Can you tell us something about the fires that are here and all over the world?
Yeah, I think that, as I mentioned in my presentation, the first thing that we need to support is the responsible forest management. We need to create these tools and give the opportunity to forest owners to do better, to implement best practice on the ground that can prevent. We will not... Such as these conservation areas, to look at the landscape as a whole and not specific for one species. And I'm not saying that one species is better than another, but we need to create like a mosaic and to have this biodiversity also in terms of forest species. The fact that we limit the use of pesticides, everything, it's like connected, and bring them these additional tools to do better on the ground. I was saying that I'm not saying with that the fires will go on forever, but at least our forests will be more resilient and more prepared, and also the forest owners will be more prepared to face these problems. But I don't know here how many of us that are here are a landowner or a forest owner. Not many of us, but we are all part of the society. So we have also the responsibility to do something, even if it's not my forest. It's something that it's for everyone. Our slogan is for all forever. For us,
we're part of
forever.
Everything.
We are part of everything. So. Also having a responsible consumption, and for example, if we really need to buy something or to choose a project, prefer this type of products that are certified, because we are indirect way, saying to the forest owners, this is the way that I want you to
Obliging them
manage
to comply.
the forest. Yes, so we are supporting the ones that are already implementing something different on the ground.
Okay, thank you. So here, Graça, so since you work together, what are the companies' role in this area? What can we do when you see? I remember seeing a sign in the internet that said something like, if trees spreaded Wi-Fi signal, they were being planted all around. What can we do here in Portugal and elsewhere as well, so we start seeing more and more trees growing up?
Well,
do you know, as a company, aside from what you do?
It's not an easy question, but what I believe is that as Ângela started, I mean, if we could every day just embrace a tree or just look outside and see a tree and for a moment connect with, and I think that's the first thing probably, and that's something that we should maybe start learning from early stages.
Yeah, because when we cut the trees, there's a misconception that if we plant more, it's good, but it takes at least 10 years for them to capture the same CO, right? Not apart from the CO that is passed on to the atmosphere when you cut it.
Yeah, but so what I was saying is, first we need to value. And I think that there's a lot of people that value trees, value forests, love to walk around, admire, but in the end, we are all taken by the news during the summer, and so it's a bit like a kind of helpless situation. Mm-hmm. What we believe is that if we can provide, in this case, in the space that there's available to the community, everybody that goes to Pedras, if you really connect with that space, if that space increases, if you understand the power that we are a species among 10,000 million other species, and so we have to respect that. Probably that will put us in a different kind of
maybe
value, I don't know, of nature.
Maybe I can add something. So sometimes it's not at all, we should not plant trees. Okay. So the issue of planting trees sometimes is not, it's not relevant, because that's what ecological restoration means. Sometimes in a landscape, we should not plant trees there. We can clean, we can plant less trees, because sometimes there are problems that affect the growth of the trees, and sometimes companies, for example, believe that by giving money to plant 10,000 trees, they are solving a problem of the forest. It is completely wrong.
That's true.
Every landscape has something to tell us. The reconnection with nature, with communities, is that we should create the solutions with this landscape, within the landscape, by seeing the landscape, by connecting with the community. Because sometimes planting trees is not the best solution. It can be other solutions. The ecological restoration, it's much more. Okay.
And the prevention, stopping them from cutting
cleaning
them down.
things,
exactly.
Creating corridors so the fires don't spread so much, cleaning the forest. There are other activities, okay, that sometimes are more appropriate. I don't mean that planting trees is not good, okay, it's not that. But it's useful if you don't respect it, if you don't look to the landscape as a whole, and if you don't hear the local people there, okay, because they have experience, and so in the ecological restoration, it's more
than that. In our case, for instance, in this case, if this project, apart from what we have done already, there's also other activities in plan, like, for instance, putting some plants that are aromatic, so that will also work for the pollinators native in the region. We have put the pound there, but now we need to put some other plants around the pound to be shelter, home for the animals living there. So as Ângela is saying, it's not just planting the trees, it's making sure that biodiversity works, but within that area, okay?
Yes.
And that is something, a learning that we had with the WWF, because in the beginning we were saying, okay, we want to plant trees in these 6 hectares.
Needs to be
and
integrated.
we thought that was it. And it's not. So we have 3 years, and probably we will have, I don't know if 3 more, or 4 more, or 5, or whatever it takes to really make sure that it will
Work.
be real.
And there should be more of those projects,
Exactly.
for sure.
Can I add something here?
Please.
Because this is why I think that it's so important to plan and to monitor, because if we know what we have, we can value and create additional value on that also.
Yeah.
Because if we don't know what we have in our forest, we didn't recognize the high conservation values or the species that we already have, and we need to promote, just promote, and not doing something else.
Yes, I remember hearing yesterday here at this very place, somebody said, like, we use nature because of its value, and we lose it because it's free. So a lot of people take that for granted, and we shouldn't, and stop most of all the deforestation. Well, we come to a point, if there's questions on the audience, please feel free to ask them. Please.
Can I do it in Portuguese and then you translate?
They're all Portuguese. They're all Portuguese.
Ok, but for, I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
if in the
of course.
audience... Ok. Então, eu queria... Pronto, é uma pergunta para todos. Porquê é que em Portugal, na verdade, no verdadeiro senso da palavra floresta, que área em Portugal é que nós temos de floresta? É a primeira pergunta que tenho. E depois, porquê é que continuamos no nosso país... se nós percorremos Portugal de norte a sul, nós só vemos monoculturas de eucaliptos e pinheiros, na sua maioria. E eu pergunto-me porquê, porque uma das questões que nós temos aqui é what are the sustainable economical opportunities, não é? Ainda há pouco eu estava a ouvir a Wanda Nasciva e foi a primeira observação que ela fez quando se sentou e quando começou a falar, que é, eu estou muito triste com aquilo que estou a ver em Portugal, não é? Só se vê eucaliptos quando nós andamos nas autoestradas, quando nós caminhamos. Claro que há muito sítio onde não existem só eucaliptos, mas a maioria da nossa área é a área ardida, e é a área de pinhal e a área de eucalipto. E, portanto, porquê que isto continua a acontecer e porquê que as autoridades e os políticos e as pessoas que tomam as decisões continuam a permitir isto, não é? E porquê é que temos casos como o Pinhal de Leiria, por exemplo, que ardeu em 2017 e que até agora continua sem nada? Ou seja, não é só, obviamente a prevenção dos incêndios, mas é o que acontece depois dos incêndios. Porque nós continuamos a ver enormes áreas ardidas que não têm nada e que nada aconteceu. Portanto, na vossa opinião, que trabalham diariamente com o tema florestas, o que é que se passa no nosso país? É a questão que coloco.
Thank you. So, what's your name? Sorry.
Eu acho
Ana.
Anna. Let me just translate to the audience. So, Anna was asking mainly regarding to the forests in Portugal, what is the total area? And why are there so many monocultures of pine trees and eucalyptus? And why do the authorities make nothing like in the Leiria pine area when it continues after the fires with everything burned? So.
Maybe I can start. So for the answer of the surface of the forest, I leave to Joana because she knows everything about that. But I quite don't agree with your comment. I think there are other types of forests, like the cork oak landscape. We are the main producers of cork and the exporters of cork. It's a beautiful handmade forest. It's a handmade forest. It's part of our ADN. It's very important for Portugal, for our economy, and also for social aspects. What we see is that the forest that burns, it's not a good eucalyptus for well-treated forest that burns, because there are also forests, eucalyptus forests, that are very well managed. That's the point that I'm reaching, and that Joana will speak, I'm sure. The importance is the management. If the eucalyptus is managed sustainably, it can connect with other types of cultures, of forests and agro-culture, okay? It's like the cork. You don't ever see a cork oak landscape burning in Portugal, because they are well managed. So the responsible management is the basis of all. Of course, if people, the landowners, those who don't act responsibly in terms of management, of course, that forest will burn, okay? So I think there are also good examples of good forests, good management in Portugal. What is not good? It's the types of management that don't respect the landscape. Again, don't make any corridors, they don't use several types of forests. Let's say the sustainable landscape would be a mosaicum, okay? It has different types of forests, it has corridors, it has different types of land uses, it has agriculture, forests, okay? So that's
what about
I think.
the forest area?
Yeah, I can start with that, and I pointed here the other things that I would like to mention. So in terms of forest area, it's around 3 million something hectares, and then we have additional area for shrublands that create even a bigger surface for the potential of the forest. You have the national inventory that defines this area, and also the percentage per species. If you want these more detailed numbers, I can
So
show you later
3
on.
million square meters, is that it?
Sorry?
3 million what?
Hectares.
Hectares.
Yes,
Sorry.
hectares. Sorry. Yeah. Regarding what Ângela was saying, I agree with Ângela in the sense that more than the species, the type of management dictates the success or the problem that we can face in terms of forest area. And I can show you or give you a concrete example in 2017 with these big fires that hit Portugal, that all of us knows that a lot of people die, and in fact the fire was stopped in an eucalyptus area that was certified. So this creates the opportunity that the people need to control and combat. So the management was the responsible to create like a natural barrier on that. And I'm not saying that these areas could not also burn, but again, create an additional tool that gives us the opportunity to react. Yes, thank you. And your first question regarding why we have this type of forest, it's linked with what Frederico mentioned in the beginning, that it's the value. If we don't value the other type of forest, because we need to understand that forest owners, even we say that this is a common service or being that we have, the forest. In Portugal, we have more than 90% of the forest is private. So forest owners depend on that. Even in the second job, they somehow take some incomes from the forest. So if we don't create like industries that can potentiate the other type of forests, this is what they will continue to plant. And our choices again has this impact, because if I prefer a table for my terrace that it's in plastic and not in wood, they will not plant or create these different ecosystems, because they know that at least eucalyptus and pine has the industry to buy their wood. Also the cork. So they know that the cork, it's well received, so they invest on that. So we need to potentiate this is the economical opportunities that we also have besides the ecosystem services, that to create more potential for these different value chains and for these different species. So we also have this responsibility, because I don't know any forest owner that I totally say that I don't want to have this species or this. They want. And again, when they understand the how it works and how they can potentiate that, they, not all of them, of course, but the majority wants to have that help, because they realize that they can be better, they can potentiate also their incomes and benefits.
Good.
And,
Graça, would
and
you
there
like
is
to?
just
Yeah.
one point. There is another issue in terms of economic. It's the payment of ecosystem services, of the value of forests. Because if someone has a forest that is well managed, they should receive for it. That's it's an incentive, because they are offering many services to all of us. And so, in terms of economic, this payment of the ecosystem services is really what should be done. It's an opportunity.
Yeah, and you have that example in WWF.
And we have that example. So we run a project where we pay for the services that the landowners give to the entire community, to all of us. Okay?
Yeah. We do the same with the Trinder. So the idea is to have these organizations supporting these projects and pay to the forest owners to not have these areas for production, but for the conservation purposes.
Okay. So you want to add anything?
Yeah.
Graça? No, you good? Any other questions there, please?
Hello, Marta Cortegan. So nowadays, well, we have all these problems that you were already talking about, and this last question was also about it. So we have the eucalyptus with a lot of resistance also for local communities and the public opinion. We have problems in with other trees and forests. We have climate change, and so many of the species that we want to grow, actually we know that in climate scenarios they will not be adapted anymore, and it's quite difficult for the landowners to be sustainable, although you gave quite interesting projects and opportunities. But the truth is that ecosystem service, although we are talking about it a long time ago, as the possible opportunity for them, they are not implemented. Mm-hmm. So in your opinion, what are the sustainable economical opportunities for the landowners, the forest landowners now and in the future, and what recommendations of policies would you give for them to have really a regenerative model of forests with economical sustainability?
Thank you.
Can I start? Okay.
Please.
So the remuneration for these ecosystem services is already a reality. FSC has 73 projects around the world and 7 in Portugal, and some of them are already paid by the service that they are providing. So this is starting, it's not solved or it's still in the beginning, but it's something that we are seeing with more interest. And I think that this could be a way, and probably the government could take the lead on that, because as you know, FSC, it's a voluntary system, so just the ones that want to join and to comply with our rules and good practices has this opportunity. So if it's good for the planet, I think that should be replicated. It's not something that we just want to keep to us. So the idea, and we know that there are some regulations being worked on this, and we were heard on that point to try to show the example that we are already doing. So it's possible, it's feasible, I hope that more initiatives can replicate it. And this is something that it's also in our hands, because the organization, for example, I didn't explain that, but in our system we don't allow compensation. It's not that I will keep my work or my daily basis has always, and then I will compensate in this project. This is not allowed in FSC, so they really need to do the change, and when they cannot mitigate anymore, then they can work with these forest owners and support the projects. Again, could be planting or could be just conserve, restoring that area in these 5 services that I mentioned. Another thing more on the productive side, because it's also an economic opportunity, it's to value more these certified products. Again, we have this power as a society. So if I choose this notebook that is FSC certified, it's a way to show the forest owners that you need to comply with these rules, because I only buy this type of things. I will not buy paper that I don't know where it comes from, if they are linked with deforestation, with land degradation. We have this opportunity and this simple solution in our hands, so let's use it.
Thank you. Anyone else want to close their arguments? Now we're heading up to the finish line. Any thoughts for the younger people to reconnect with the wilderness and the wildlife? Would you like to say anything for them?
Well, Frederico, just one more thing. And just because I don't want to say that that's the solution, let's go home. It's one of the solutions. It's not the solution, because we will not solve anything alone. So all together we need to work and collaborate to try to find more solutions like this one. Sorry,
right.
Just to compliment.
I probably will just say that talking obviously in the perspective of a company that also has objectives and targets to achieve, in this case linked with water, because it's also linked with this project that we have exposed here, is that we have an objective of compensating 40% of the water that we use. So apart from reducing the water we use in every drink we are producing, we also want to compensate that in 40% by 2050. And that will mean that we will have to find projects, either, this kind of eco-restore projects or in natural parks, or kind of, Ângela will talk better about that, which is making sure that in lands that had fires, that there will be natural regeneration. So what I mean is that also companies that have these objectives of compensating the resources that are using, they will also invest, let's say, because it's a common invest for the future. And that probably will also provide some economical value for the owners of these forest or lands.
Perfect. And it's very quickly.
In terms of the young people, well, what we have been seeing is a very activism now, young people in the news, and I think there is space for every action. At WWF, we have 2 programs for youth, which are based on training youth people to become leaders, environmental leaders. Because above all, you can't do activism if you don't have the information, if you are not aware, if you are not linked with the landscape, with the characteristics of the landscape, with the economies of the landscape, with society, with the communities. So I think it's important that we build youth generation that is aware, that knows what they're talking about, and then they can do activism. Okay,
of course.
But I think so. We are trying to build. It's the third program that we have. It's called Generation Earth. It's about young people that want to be leaders in environment. They want to spread the word, and I think it's very important to educate people.
It's up to them and to us all. We still have our time here. So thank you all for our speakers, the audience and the organization for everything. We'll finish up here. Thank you, and
Thank you.
continue on protecting this beautiful planet.